Hi guys, and welcome to Rufus and Doofus. How are you today? Chico here. Today I got my spark plug wires and spark plugs from rockauto.com. Great place to buy motor stuff. Oh yeah, good prices, great shipping, quick. Very good place to buy stuff. So I got my Motorcraft spark plugs in the mail, and I also got my spark plugs. And obviously, I'm sure you guys have all changed spark plugs and wires before. So what are we going to need? We're going to need it's heavy, socket set. Okay. Hopefully with a socket that'll fit your plugs. That's the best thing, and it should have a little foam in there. That's nice for gripping the plug when you go to put it back in. Got a new feeler gauge. Mine was all rusty. It hadn't been used in so long. That's to gap the plugs for the proper gap, so we've got the right spark. And I also got a tube of dielectric grease, which goes on the boot of the spark plug wire, both ends. And that's nice to keep it lubricated so that if you ever have to take it off, down the road, comes off nice and easy. And it also makes for a good connection. Already talked about the feeler gauge, and I've already gone around the engine and sprayed a little bit of WD-40 penetrating oil into where the spark plug is, so that when I go to remove them, they should come out nice and easy. Any residue will just burn off when the engine is running, so no problem there. And we're going to be attacking this problem. I don't know how much of it I can video. Probably be very boring video because we're just changing plugs. But my plan is to go in there. I have to dismantle some things to get to the plugs. And then I am also going to be checking for other probable causes of problems, potential problems. And that would be, I'll be checking the throttle control sensor. I'll be checking the MAF, mass airflow sensor. I'll be checking the map sensor as best I can, and hopefully all of those things will be fine. As you guys know from past videos, I've got some problems with some hesitation and bucking and backfiring. So maybe the wires will take care of that, maybe not. I kind of don't think they will. I have a feeling I have either another problem or a sensor that might be giving some bad information. So, not to bore you, but we're going to get in there and start doing this job. I'll video as much as I can. Thanks. Bye. I like these clamps. They're part of the hose itself. Well guys, there's the first plug to come out, and it's a nasty shape. It's definitely the original plug, so it's got quite a few miles on it. I hope you can see that, but that's an oldie. Oh yeah. So I think the plugs are definitely going to improve performance. There's no doubt about that. Okay, just wanted to show you that. Let me keep moving. Bye. Okay guys, I don't know if you can see this. I'll try and take a picture of it. But basically there's the old plug, next to a new one, and you can see that the center electrode on that old one is pretty well consumed. And the plug is, you know, kind of ratty looking, but it still fires. But does it fire well? That's the big question. So wanted to show you that, and that's it. And we're going to continue working. Hi guys, got all the plug wires in and all the plugs, and I just wanted to show you I had to access all the plugs from the underside of the vehicle by the wheel well. Actually had enough room to get my beautiful big head in here, and I got at him with a wrench, so it wasn't too bad, but working from the top was a little tough. So I'm just holding the camera. I hope you can see this. Just wanted to show you. And this is on the 460 Ford chassis, F53. Okay, so the other side is the same. No sense showing you that. Gonna go up top and show you everything put back together. Hang in there. Don't go away. All right, guys. Here's a view with the doghouse off of the engine, and you can see that there isn't a whole hell of a lot of room there to work. So as I mentioned, plugs were taken out by reaching through the wheel wells, and then I did all the wire work obviously here. Had to take those intake tubes off to get to the distributor, and for those of you guys that have changed plugs and wires before, you know that you do one wire at a time so you don't get the firing order messed up. So that's that. Okay guys, I just want to show you where the OBD port is on this F53 1997 Ford chassis. Okay, I'm gonna zoom. I want to show you from here. I just want you to get an idea where I'm at. This is looking at the engine. Okay, obviously you can see the dashboard there, so you know where it's at. Now I'm going to try and get this camera into the hole where that OBD port is. So you guys bear with me. I hope there's enough light in there. But the OBD 1 port is way up there. All right, so you saw me bring the camera in, and I'll bring it out slowly so you can see. But that is where the OBD 1 port is. Barely accessible from here. Not accessible from the front under the hood, and not accessible from underneath unless you got 5-foot arms and flexible. So that's where it's at. And guess what's right behind it? The MAP sensor. All right? Yep, the MAP sensor. Manifold air pressure sensor. And if you look, I'm backing out. That line that you see here, I'm going to try and point to it. This here, which goes to the MAP sensor, if you can believe it or not, comes all the way back here and plugs in to the manifold right here. You imagine that? They ran that big thing of aluminum tubing all the way back there when all they had to do was mount the MAP sensor here and a couple of feet of wire, and that would have been it. No, they had to put it where you can't get at it. Yeah, real smart. Yep. Design, engineering, sucks. So I wanted to show you that. I'm going to zoom in one more time, travel across the engine. All right, and hopefully you can see. I'm just trying to do this as best I can. And again, if you look way back there, I hope you can see it. It's awful dark in there. That's where the OB1 port is, OBD1, which I already removed from the mounting. So it's dangling there. And what I plan on doing is, if I can get a hold of an OBD1 reader, I'm going to get the extension cord for it, plug it in up there to that port, and then run it back and mount it somewhere else where I can get at it for future use, assuming they make an extension for it, which I'm pretty sure they do. So that's that. Just wanted to show you that, okay? Alright guys, as I had mentioned, did the plug and wire job. It was a bear. Trying to get at things was not easy on this engine. Had to access it from below, as I showed you, over the wheel well. or through the wheel well, and also here on top, kind of banged up my arms, and it was a big job. And luckily, I didn't film it all, because all you would have seen is me huffing and puffing and cursing and bumping my head and getting my arm caught in different places, and it wasn't pretty. While I was down there, I searched and searched for all the sensors. Didn't find many, but a few. And I ended up finding the OBD1 port. So I want to take this opportunity right here just to clarify a couple of things, because I was on the internet looking for where the OBD2 or OBD1 port was on this particular chassis. 1997 Ford F3 RV chassis. I don't know if they're all the same, but I got a feeling they might be. There were people that were saying it was on the steering wheel column. There were websites saying that it's an OBD2 port near the steering wheel column. There was one site that said that it was an OBD1 port and could possibly be located under the front access hood. Well, let me tell you something. I looked and I looked for 3 days and I could not find the darn thing. And I eventually called Ford, their truck division, the fleet division, gave them the VIN number, gave them everything that they asked for, and finally got some guy on the phone who told me that it's an OBD1, no doubt, so it's not OBD2. Forget it. It's not there. It's an OBD1. Now, this is for the Ford chassis. I don't know about Chevy or anybody else. So, it's OBD1, and it's located in the engine compartment by the firewall. That's all he could tell me, and he also told me that it would be near, above actually, slightly above the starter relay. Okay, that's the coil and relay that makes the connection to crank the starter over. He was in fact right. Very, very deep in the doghouse, the front part of the doghouse, you can see here, that's off. The other part, I don't even know if it comes off. It probably does, but it's a lot of work. I was able to barely reach it. And when I tell you barely, I mean I was up to my bicep all the way in there. I couldn't get any further because my chest was in the way on the rest of the doghouse, and it's a very bad position. I finally was able to pull it off of where they had it mounted, which was way deep on that wall of the second half of the doghouse, way up towards the front. It's mounted on a little plastic thing with those little Christmas tree snaps that you push in. Well, I was able to get it out, and wow, weren't they nice to give me like 3 inches of wire to work with. So couldn't even bring it back forward. I'm in the process of trying to locate an OBD1 scanner that's decent, not one of the totally cheap ones. And I'm also hoping that I can get an extension for putting the OBD1 connector from the scanner onto the OBD port where it is located way down in there, because if there isn't one, I'm not going to be able to read the scanner anyway. That's how bad it is. So I did a little research. They do make an extension for a cable for the scanner, and once I get that cable hooked onto that other port there, the one that I can't pull, more than 3 inches from where it is, I'm going to wire tie it or do something to hold it together and leave that extension right on it, and then mount that plug that it's in a more accessible location. So no matter what anybody tells you, this particular model is OBD1. I'm going to repeat the model. It's an F53 1997 Ford chassis. Okay, and it's the coach is a Damon Intruder. If you've got that chassis, don't be looking under the steering wheel, because it ain't there. It's nowhere near there, and you wouldn't believe where they put it. I mean, you talk about a design engineer putting that thing up there. Whoever put it up there, they should be shot or made to work on every one of them. I'm telling you, really, really nasty. So that's about it. I just wanted to cover that. I know that my wire and plug replacement job did not take care of the problem. What I am going to do now is I'm going to set the camera up over the engine, and I'm going to show you what this baby is doing that's really causing me problems. And I'm going to do this in park. I can tell you that this symptom is a little different in park than when it's actually running. When it's running on the road under load, I cannot get it to go anywhere. It's more than 20 miles an hour. It bucks, it backfires, it chokes, it does everything that you don't want, trust me. So in any case, I'm going to show you what it's doing in park. Yeah, I'm going to have to rev it, and I'll try and explain what I'm doing. Anybody out there has got any ideas until I get that OBD1 scanner, let me know. Sounds like a fuel problem, but as I said, we've got a new fuel pump, new fuel filter. I don't think it's a fuel issue coming from the rear. I think it's something is telling it not to take the fuel, or it's overloading. Some sensor is malfunctioning, but I don't know which one yet. So don't let me keep rambling. I'm a mess here. I washed my hands though. Let me show you what it's doing. Okay, don't go away. All right, you're not going to be able to see anything, but you will hear what the problem is. So let me start her up and I'll show you. I didn't like the way it started either, but let me show you what's going on here. I'm going to do a slow acceleration first. Everything's fine. So fuel is getting there. I'll do it one more time slow, and I'll bring the RPM up a little more. Got a squeaky belt there, that's no problem. But as you can see, in park, if I slowly depress the pedal, it will go nicely. Now watch what happens when I depress the pedal slowly, but when it gets up to about 2,000 RPMs, I'm going to punch it. All right, you hear that rev and die, rev and die? That was with the punch to the floor, and I did that starting at 2,000 RPM. Now, watch what happens if I stomp on it from an idle. As long as the throttle remains to the floor, that's what it does. But it has to be done suddenly. So I'm thinking some sort of a sensor there is messing up. One more time. Okay, that was stomping on it from an idle. Now I'll bring it up slow and watch what happens. Obviously it's getting fuel, so it's not a fuel pump issue, it's not a fuel filter issue. Something else is going on. And if any of you guys got an idea, please let me know. Alright guys, I don't want to keep babbling about this, but it's really got me confused. Working on one of these fuel injected babies, especially an older one, without any kind of scanner or hint as to what might be going wrong is virtually impossible. I'm kind of leaning towards the MAP sensor, mass airflow, mass airflow pressure from the manifold. Sorry if I stuttered. If that's the one that's going to be bad, it's going to be a bear to replace because it's way the hell up there in the middle of nowhere. I'll have to figure that out without, I don't know, man. I don't know how I'm going to get at that one. If it's one of the other ones, they're pretty accessible. I did, when I was on the line with Ford Motor Company, I asked them to please send me something that kind of gave me an idea where the particular sensors were. He sent me, emailed me a couple of diagrams. They did help with some of the ones that weren't more obvious. I mean, obviously throttle position sensor is going to be near the throttle, but there's a whole bunch of other ones, temperature control, air temperature monitoring, you name it, it's got a sensor for it. So all it has to do is have one of those mess up, which is going to cause a problem. Now, I don't know if on the OBD sensor, if I'm going to be able to check out, short-term fuel trims or long-term fuel trims, anything like that. But anything is better than nothing. So even if it just blinks at me and it has codes, at least I'll have an idea of what's going on. Now, forgot to mention, there is no check engine light. There is no check engine light. The only time I get a check engine light is if I continue to hold the accelerator down and it starts backfiring and spitting and sputtering. Then it's obviously going to give me probably a misfire code or something like that. Now, that was when the vehicle was in park. When I'm on the road, you know how smoothly it accelerated up? You know, some of you might be saying, well, shit, don't stomp on it when you're driving. That's not the case. When I'm driving, it seems like when it gets under load, when I'm moving along from a stop, it'll go up to about 5 miles an hour and start acting up at very low RPMs, and then it spits and sputters and jerks. And I don't really want to drive it, because when that happens, you know, you're mashing all that stuff together there, so you can hurt U-joints, you can hurt the engine, you can do a lot of damage. So trying to figure this out before I move it again. And that's about it, folks. I'm sorry if I rambled a little bit. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that in some way it may help you with if you're having a problem with your F3. If it's nothing more than wanting to know where that OB1 port is. And remember, you're looking for an OB1, okay? OBD1. You're not looking for an OBD2 in this chassis. You're looking for an OBD1. So if nothing else, if it helps you find that, guys, I'm glad, you know. But and if anybody out there has had this problem before, let me know. Okay, take care. We'll see you next time. Bye.